Hi everyone, in this video we will talk about Mahatma Gandhi and here is my group members.
Hi, I'm Monisha. Mahatma Gandhi is a well-known leader who has led the country to independence with his inspiring philosophies. Here, we are going to be discussing on Mahatma Gandhi's early life background, a journey into the life of Mahatma Gandhi, philosophies, practices of Mahatma Gandhi, and lastly, the contribution to the society. How has the philosophies improved the society? Mahatma Gandhi, by name of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, was born on the 2nd of October 1869 in Porbandar, India, and died on 30th January 1948 in Delhi. Gandhi was the youngest child of his father's fourth wife. His father, Karamchand Gandhi, was the chief minister of Porbandar, where on the other hand, Gandhi's mother, Putlibai, was a person who is completely absorbed in religion. Mohandas grew up in a home steeped in Vaishnavism, which is the worship of Hindu god Vishnu, and with a strong tinge of Jainism, which is a morally rigorous Indian religion whose chief tenets are non-violence and the belief that everything in the universe is eternal. He took for granted ahimsa, meaning non-injury to all living beings, vegetarianism, fasting for self-purification, and mutual tolerance between adherents of various creeds. Who is he? He was an Indian lawyer, politician, social activist, and writer who became the leader of the nationalist movement against the British rule in India, and in turn, he inspired movements for civil rights and freedom across the world. He came to be considered the father of his country. Gandhi is internationally esteemed for his doctrine of non-violence protest, which is satyagraha, to achieve political and social progress. In the eyes of millions of his fellow Indians, Gandhi was the Mahatma, which means the great soul. The honorific Mahatma was applied to him in 1914 in South Africa, which is now used throughout the whole world. In 1887, Mohandas scraped through the matriculation examination in the University of Bombay and joined Samandas College in Bhavnagar. Meanwhile, his family was debating his future. Left to himself, he would have liked to have been a doctor. But besides the Vaishnava prejudice against vivisection, it was clear that if he was to keep up the family tradition of holding high office in one of the states in Gujarat, he would have to qualify as a barrister. His youthful imagination conceived England as a land of philosophers and poets, the very centre of civilization. Gandhi trained in law at the Inner Temple of London. Gandhi took the University of London matriculation examination. Gandhi returned to India in July 1891 and discovered to his dismay that the barrister's degree was not a guarantee of a lucrative career. The legal profession was already beginning to be overcrowded. It was therefore with some relief that in 1893 he accepted the offer of a year's contract from an Indian firm in Natal, South Africa. He spent 21 years in South Africa, where he developed his political views, ethics, and politics. Immediately upon arriving in South Africa, Gandhi faced discrimination because of his skin color and heritage like all people of color. He was not allowed to sit with European passengers in the stagecoach and told to sit on the floor near the driver, then beaten up when he refused to. He was kicked into a gutter for daring to walk near a house. He sat in the train station shivering all night and pondering if he should return to India or protest for his rights. He chose to protest and was allowed to board the train the next day. In another instant, the magistrate of a Durban court ordered Gandhi to remove his turban, which he refused to do. Indians were not allowed to walk on public footpaths in South Africa. Gandhi was kicked by a police officer out of the footpath onto the street without warning. This was the wake-up call for Gandhi to fight against the suppression. He soon found a way to revoke that he called satyagraha, which means to force out the truth. With the newly found strategy, Gandhi was able to combat the discrimination against the Indians. He deemed the Indians the right to vote, which made him the national hero. In 1921, he became the leader of the Indian National Congress, which was a party that fought for the independence. In 1930, the British government imposed tax on salt. Therefore, Gandhi took a 400-kilometer march to seashore called Dundee, where he made salt with his own hands to show his protest against the evil tax. Gandhi not just influenced people to be powerful and independent. He showed how a leader should be calm, simple, and humble. His ways of non-violence has not yielded the expected results, thus he resorted to the hunger strike, placing his own life in danger. In World War II, 1939, Gandhi thought it was the right time to force the British to quit. In 1940, Gandhi went back to India and it was still ruled by the British. At instance, he joined the freedom movement where he introduced the Gandhian style of non-violence and non-cooperation. The Indian freedom struggle got much more powerful. In 1942, he invoked a movement called Quit India Movement. In 1947, the British government has enough troubles to sink India and England, thus leaving India after dividing it into two countries, which are Pakistan and India. Gandhi was happy for the independence, however he was shattered for the partition. The partition led to violent clashes between Hindus and Muslims. Gandhi repeatedly went to hunger strike to restore peace among the country. In 1948, he completed a 2-day strike where he was shot dead by a Hindu nationalist called Nathuram Godse. Though he was no more to lead the nation, his principles and character has always shown the best way for the leader to follow. He was rightly, though, to be the man of the millennium.
Hi, I'm Prasanna.
Philosophies of Mahatma Gandhi. The first philosophy is faith in God. Second is truth. Third is non-violence. Fourth is love. Fifth is an ideal society. Last but not the least is satyagraha. Mahatma Gandhi had a profound faith in God and believed in the unity of man. According to Mahatma Gandhi, God is an undefinable, a mysterious power that pervades everything. His presence is proved not by extraneous evidence but in the transformed conduct and character of those who have felt the real presence of God within. He therefore advised to have a living faith in a living God who is the ultimate arbiter of our fate. His will is supreme. According to Mahatma Gandhi, all life in its essence is one and that men are working consciously or unconsciously towards the realization of that identity. Therefore, he believed that the goal of life is to realize God. Truth is one of the philosophies of Mahatma Gandhi. Truth is the highest goal, and also it is the means to realize God. He does not demarcate a line of difference between truth and God. Until 1931, he said God is truth, but then he said truth is God. He says, I have no God to serve but truth. Truth is expressed through the inner voice. It is the call of conscience. It should pervade the whole life. He believed in the practical application of truth in our daily behavior and in our dealings with our fellow men. Truth is the guiding principle of human conduct. This truth is the ultimate reality which must triumph over evil and hatred. His advice was to realize that truth is life.
Hi, I'm Zubaida.
Next, non-violence. Mahatma Gandhi used the law of ahimsa in order to explain about non-violence. Ahimsa is important spiritual practice and shared by Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. Ahimsa literally means non-injury and non-killing. It implies the total avoidance of harming any kind of living creature, not only by deeds but also by word and thoughts. The aim of this law is basically to prevent karma, which literally means that when you do something bad, later on you will get bad things too. Mahatma Gandhi once said, "Non-violence is the greatest force at the disposal of mankind. It is the mightiest weapon of destruction devised by the ingenuity of man." Next, the fourth philosophy of Mahatma Gandhi is love. Gandhi highlighted that love is the best solution for any problem. For example, whenever you are confronted with an opponent, conquer him with love. Permanent good can never be the outcome of untruth and violence. The future depends on what you do today. To give pleasure to a single heart but a single act is better than thousand head bowings in prayer. Other than that, it is only through love that one can attain truth, to see the universal and all prevailing spirit of truth face to face. One must be able to love the nearest creation as oneself. One also can conquer the enemies and brutal evil force not by becoming evil, but through love. Just as God is truth, God is also love. We love and serve God when we love and serve His creature. Instead of being in the temple, church, and mosque, God can also be found in the temples of humanity, which is developed from loving others.
Hi, my name is Ong Song Lee.
Ideal society. Ideal society. There will be catalysts and candidates in which there are no high, no low, which all service has equal status and edges. In ideal society, those who have more use their advantage now for themselves but extras to serve others who have less. In ideal society, the motivations factor in the choice of occupation in the personal advantage, but self-expressions and self-realizations through the service of society. Since all service have same ranks and equal wages, hereditary skills are conserved and developed from generation to generation instead of being sacrificed to the rule of personal gains. Instead of community service replace unrestricted, soulless competitions. Everybody is a worker with ample leisure, opportunity, and facilities for education and culture. Point in Gandhi philosophies is Satyagraha. Satyagraha is defined as the whole philosophies of non-violence, which also known as fight with peace. Satyagraha is a compound of sacred words, Satya meaning truth, and Agaha what lies in resistance or holding firm to. A Satya campaign is undertaken only after all other peaceful means have proven ineffective. History of Satyagraha. Satyagraha was developed by Gandhi in South Africa to give the Indian populations then a weapon in which to resist the injustice being imposed on it by colonial government. In Satyagraha, its work is no violence, and an attempt is made to converse, persuade, or win over the opponents, which involve applying the force of both reasons and conscience simultaneously. Methods that apply in a Satyagraha campaigns are no cooperations, strike, and fasting. A truthful Satyagraha campaigns through its demand courage, self-discipline, and humility on the part of the Satyagrahi, brings to bear massive moral pressure on opponents and can bring about remarkable transformation.
Hi, my name is Kodesha Rizal.
Now, I will be explaining Mahatma Gandhi's contributions and accomplishments to the society of India. First and foremost, and perhaps his largest contribution, is the independence of India. Mahatma Gandhi was the most prominent leader of the Indian independence movement, and he is unofficially referred to as father of the nation in India. He launched the Quit India movement on 8 August 1942, demanding an end to British rule in India. He made a call to do or die in his Quit India speech. However, almost the entire leadership of Indian National Congress was imprisoned without a trial within hours of his speech. Despite the lack of leadership, large protests and demonstrations were held all over the country. During the protests, the British have made over 100,000 arrests and hundreds were killed in order to suppress the movement. Though Quit India movement was successfully suppressed by the British, they realized it was now impossible to rule India. At the end of World War II, British indicated that power would soon be transferred to India. India then gained its independence on 15 August 1947, but it was incompleted by partition of British India into sovereign state of India and Pakistan due to the majority of religions. Next, we move on to the another contribution of Mahatma Gandhi, which is his battle of civil disobedience in India at Champaran. Champaran is a district in Indian state of Bihar. In this state, the British forced farmers in the region to grow indigo and other cash crops instead of crops. Farmers sold this to mostly British landlords at extremely low fixed price. This was coupled with bad weather conditions and harsh tax, leaving the farmers in extreme poverty. Gandhi arrived in Champaran in April 1917. Adopting strategy of nonviolence disobedience, Gandhi led organized protests and strikes against the landlord. These protests and strikes made the British landlords sign an agreement granting more compensation and control to the farmers, and also cancelling the revenue hikes and conditions until the famine ended. During this agitation also was when people started to referring to Gandhi as Mahatma. Last but not least, his final contribution is his fight against social evils in society of India. Apart from his fight against militant, Mahatma Gandhi also worked on a number of social issues in India. He launched campaigns to improve the life of untouchable or lower caste people. He also opposed the practice of child marriage, oppression of the widows, and purta, which is women covering their faces in public.
That's all from us. Thank you for watching.